Watch till end. I entered my alien maid from behind and she couldn't break free. Elias Morgan sat in the narrow cabin of the interstellar transport, staring at the blinking lights of the control panel. The ship hummed softly around him, but he barely noticed. He was thinking about the notice he had received yesterday, the notice that had made him sigh louder than he had in years. Assigned alien caretaker, Salthera species, crystalline rank, efficiency class A. Elias rubbed his temples. He had retired from active duty years ago, choosing a quieter life working as a logistics engineer on the neutral station, Nova Ark. He had thought the worst of the galaxy was behind him, that he would spend his days fixing old systems, enjoying the slow rhythm of life, and reading Earth novels nobody cared about anymore. But apparently, the Galactic Concord had other plans. The Concord was polite about these things. They said it was for the welfare of humans in high-stress environments. To Elias, it sounded more like an insult. Humans were weak, the data said, unreliable, fragile. They needed guidance. Aliens were assigned to keep humans alive, functioning, and, most insulting of all, under control. A quiet knock at the cabin door interrupted his thoughts. "Enter," Elias called, trying to sound less grumpy than he felt. The door slid open smoothly. A tall, crystalline figure stepped inside. Her body shimmered in soft blue and silver tones, reflecting the cabin lights. Her movements were precise, deliberate, almost mechanical, and yet there was a grace in every gesture. "Greetings, human Elias Morgan," she said, her voice calm, almost melodic. "I am Salthera. I have been assigned to manage your welfare. My purpose is to ensure your survival, efficiency, and compliance with station regulations." Elias blinked. He had expected this, of course, but the formality of it made him smirk. "Well, Salthera, I appreciate your concern, but I can manage. I'm retired." Salthera tilted her head. "Retirement does not reduce risk. Your species is statistically vulnerable. My directives require oversight regardless of professional background." Elias chuckled softly. "Statistics, huh? Well, I suppose that's why you're here." He gestured at the cabin. "Make yourself comfortable, or don't. I don't mind either way." She stepped forward, examining the room with a light scan of her eyes. "Comfort is secondary. Efficiency is paramount." Elias leaned back in his chair. He had been around aliens long enough to know one thing: they were always serious. Humans might joke or stumble through life, but alien species, especially ones like the crystalline, viewed everything in absolute terms. Life was data, decisions were calculations, emotions were irrelevant. And yet somehow he found her presence interesting. Over the next few days, Salthera proved exactly as the Concord had said she would: precise, methodical, and annoyingly competent. She rearranged his cabin according to efficiency principles, cataloged every item he owned, and insisted he follow a strict schedule for sleep, meals, and exercise. Elias, however, resisted quietly. He cooked his own meals. He fixed his own tools. He even ignored some of her suggestions, much to her silent confusion. "You seem resistant," she remarked one evening as he repaired an old generator console. Sparks flew, and the console hummed back to life. "I'm a human," Elias said with a grin. "Resistance is sort of our thing." She paused, analyzing him. "Your species presents paradoxical behavior. You appear fragile according to physiological metrics, yet you endure conditions that would incapacitate others of your size and age." Elias shrugged. "We're adaptable." "That's all nothing to see here." But Salthera was taking notes. Every action, every choice, every response from Elias was catalogued. Her species valued data above all, and humans were full of anomalies. They were unpredictable, illogical, and resilient. Her first real observation came during a station drill. A fire alarm blared across Nova Ark, signaling a small chemical leak in the engineering sector. Most aliens immediately followed protocols: secure themselves, wait for instructions, and rely on automated systems. Humans, according to the conquered, would panic. Elias did neither. He grabbed a portable respirator, activated an emergency light, and sprinted toward the danger zone. Salthira followed, her movements precise, scanning for hazards. When they arrived, a group of alien workers were frozen, unsure what to do. The system shutdown had left them stranded near the chemical vats. Elias didn't hesitate. "Everyone follow me, step carefully. We'll use the old maintenance route, away from sensors. Don't worry about alarms, just stay close." The aliens looked at him, uncertain. But something in his calm voice, in the way he assessed danger without hesitation, made them move. Step by step, he led them out, using knowledge of systems that no automated AI could replicate. Salthira watched silently, her internal data logs filling rapidly. Humans, she noted, function under chaos. They make decisions instantly, often with incomplete information. They improvise. They persist. After the drill, she approached him. "Human Elias, you display unexpected competence. Your species is said to collapse under stress. Yet in this scenario, you were calm, decisive, and effective." Elias leaned against a wall, wiping sweat from his forehead. "I've lived through worse. You get used to it." Humans have a habit of surviving. She tilted her head, processing the statement. Surviving, she noted. Not thriving, not winning, just surviving. But even in survival, there was method, courage, and ingenuity. Over the following weeks, Salthira began noticing more. Elias maintained routines she deemed unnecessary. He exercised daily, despite being in a low-gravity environment. He repaired old machinery others deemed obsolete. He read, wrote, and kept journals no one asked for. "Why?" she asked one evening as they sat in his cabin watching the stars shimmer outside. "Why maintain these rituals?" Elias smiled softly. "Habits keep us alive, not just physically but mentally. A mind that stops thinking stops surviving first. You aliens think efficiency is everything. We humans know it's just one piece. Hope, persistence, stubbornness. They matter too." Salthira paused. Her species had no word for stubbornness. She filed it under human behavioral anomaly and made a note to observe further. Her observations expanded beyond Elias. During social interactions at the station, she saw humans helping aliens in ways that seemed illogical to her species. They risked their own comfort, their own safety, to assist others, sometimes complete strangers. Yet they did not calculate precise benefits or penalties. They acted. One night, when the station faced a minor power fluctuation, Elias ran from module to module, rerouting systems, fixing failing circuits, and coordinating the response. The aliens on duty froze, waiting for AI instructions. Elias moved with confidence. The station stabilized before anyone else could react. Salthira recorded silently. Humans respond effectively under pressure. Emotional resilience compensates for physical weakness. And for the first time, she wondered if the Concord's reports were wrong. Perhaps humans were not weak at all. Perhaps there was strength hidden beneath the appearance of fragility. Her next note was more personal. Human Elias does not seek recognition. His actions are not for data or reward. He acts because it is necessary. His species has purpose in unpredictability. Elias noticed her watching him one evening and chuckled. "You're taking notes again, aren't you?" she nodded. "I am tasked with understanding your behavior." "It is anomalous. I do not fully comprehend it," he smiled faintly. "You will. That's part of being human. You don't understand us until you live with us. And even then, you only scratch the surface." Salthira processed this quietly. She had come to Nova Ark to manage a weak species, to prevent accidents and to maintain order. Instead, she was learning something new. Humans were a puzzle she could not solve with logic alone. They were unpredictable, resilient, and dangerous in ways that made her species uneasy. But Elias, quietly stubborn, was not doing anything remarkable. He was simply being human. And that, she realized, was the beginning of something far greater than she had been assigned to observe. The chapter closed with her looking out at the stars alongside Elia's, her crystalline form reflecting the distant lights. Perhaps there is more to humanity than the conquered realizes, she thought. Perhaps they are stronger than any species I have encountered. And perhaps I will learn why. Life on Nova Ark had settled into a rhythm, but it was never quiet. Elias Morgan moved through his days as if nothing unusual had happened, even though the conquered had assigned an alien caretaker to watch his every move. Salthera, the crystalline maid, continued to monitor him, but now her observations were more than just routine. They were filled with curiosity. She had started noticing patterns. Humans, she realized, acted in ways that did not fit any model. They improvised. They reacted to chaos with calm efficiency. They had instincts she could not calculate. One morning, the station announced a minor system anomaly, a containment issue in the hydroponics sector. Normally, the automated systems would manage the problem, and the aliens assigned to oversee the area would follow standard procedures. But Elias, as usual, did not wait. "Salthera," he said, strapping a utility belt across his chest, "let's check the pumps. I want to make sure the plants don't get damaged. It's not just about the food, it's about balance in the system." Her head tilted slightly. "Human Elias, your species is considered ill-suited to technical troubleshooting without AI assistance. You may be at risk." He laughed lightly. "Risk is part of the job. I've learned to handle it." The two of them moved through the hydroponics bay, walking carefully past the delicate green growths. One of the alien engineers was hovering nervously above a failing pump, unsure what to do. The AI monitoring system had locked down most controls, leaving the team paralyzed. Elias approached. "Step aside, let me try something." With quick hands, he opened the pump casing, checked the fluid flow, and rerouted a secondary conduit. The pump whirred back to life, stabilizing the nutrient cycle for the plants. Salthera watched silently. The human intervened where no protocol existed. Logic predicted failure, yet he succeeded. "Why did you do that?" one of the engineers asked, astonished. "Because it needed to be done," Elias replied simply. "If I wait for the perfect plan, everything dies." "Sometimes you act first and figure it out later." Salthera made another note. "Humans act decisively under incomplete information. They possess a form of risk tolerance unlike any other species in the conquered." It was not just technical skill she noticed. She began seeing how humans connected with others in subtle ways. During communal meals, Elias would sit quietly, observing, and occasionally offering advice or comfort to stressed aliens. He listened without judgment, asked questions about their species' challenges, and helped them solve small personal or technical problems. One evening, as Salthera assisted him with his cabin organization, she remarked, "Human Elias, you exhibit concern for others beyond logical necessity." "Why?" he smiled faintly. "Because it matters. People need help sometimes. And if you can help, why not?" She paused, trying to process the statement. Helping without expectation of gain illogical, yet effective. Cultural anomaly detected. Her observations deepened when the station experienced a minor crisis. A small asteroid had grazed the outer shield, sending shockwaves through the communication arrays. Alien teams froze as protocols dictated a series of slow, careful checks. Humans panicked less and acted faster, improvising solutions that saved critical systems. Elias again led the human response. He coordinated small teams, reassigned power to critical modules, and communicated calmly with station command. He did not wait for permission. He did not rely entirely on AI. He relied on judgment, instinct, and knowledge. Salthera observed quietly from the control deck. Humans possess adaptive intelligence. They succeed in situations where calculated methods fail. Afterward, she approached him. "Human Elias, your species consistently performs well under pressure, contrary to conquered data. You do not panic, you improvise, you coordinate efficiently. Why? Elias leaned against the console. We don't have a choice. If we panic, nothing works. If we wait for the perfect instructions, we fail. You call it efficiency, but really it's survival. Humans survive because we adapt. She processed this silently, her mind filling with data points. Adaptation, survival, improvisation, resilience. Each term alone was inadequate to describe what she was observing. Together, they formed a pattern the conquered reports had never predicted. The next week, Elia's human qualities became more apparent. A group of alien scientists was struggling to repair a malfunctioning experimental reactor. Automated procedures failed repeatedly, and the station's AI had gone into a standby mode to prevent overload. Most aliens waited for manual overrides from the central Concord command. Elias did not. He entered the reactor room, wearing a protective suit, and quickly assessed the situation. "The coolant valves are stuck," he muttered. "We don't have time to wait for the AI. We need a manual fix." Following his instructions, the alien scientists carefully adjusted the valves. Elias monitored pressure readings, recalibrated the manual controls, and stabilized the reactor before it could cause a catastrophic failure. Salthira's eyes glowed faintly as she recorded her observations. The human anticipated failure, improvised solutions, and led aliens through unknown procedures, all without prior experience in this exact scenario. Afterward, she asked, "Human Elias, how do you know what to do in situations that are not in the manuals?" He shrugged. "Experience. Observation, trying things until something works. You might call it luck, but it's not. It's learning, adapting, and trusting your judgment." Her mind processed this carefully. Humans learn differently. They absorb information, improvise with limited resources, and make decisions even with incomplete data. Their species had evolved not just to survive harsh environments on Earth, but to adapt to every challenge the galaxy could throw at them. Salthira's reports to the Conquered became more detailed. She noted anomalies she could not explain. Humans helping others without reward, taking initiative without orders, enduring stress without collapse. She began to feel something strange, a sense of admiration. Crystalline beings rarely admired others, as emotions were considered inefficient distractions. But this human, he was different. One evening, as the station's artificial sun dipped below the horizon of the distant planet, Salthira observed Elias performing a nightly routine. He worked on repairing an old data terminal that had been ignored for years. Sparks flew occasionally, and he muttered to himself, but he did not stop until it worked. "Why repair something so old and useless?" she asked. He looked at her, eyes faintly smiling. "Nothing is useless if it can help someone, even a little. It's about keeping things alive, keeping things working. That's what humans do." Her sensors recorded the statement. Humans find meaning in persistence, even where logic suggests futility. Salthira began testing her own assumptions. She challenged him with hypothetical crises, expecting confusion or hesitation. He responded with calm creativity, using what little resources were available and often producing solutions that even she could not anticipate. Her final observation for the week: humans excel in chaos. They survive when other species fail. They are not physically strongest, but they possess an unmatched combination of adaptability, courage, and ingenuity. Salthira realized her initial mission, to manage and monitor a weak species, was misguided. She had come to witness the failure of humanity under stress, and instead, she was watching them thrive. One day she asked him directly, "Human Elias, if your species is considered weak, how do you explain your ability to succeed in so many dangerous or unpredictable situations?" Elias smiled quietly. "We learn, we adapt, and sometimes we just don't give up. You can calculate risk and probability all you want, but humans, we keep going, even when everything looks hopeless. Salthera processed this silently. She began to realize that human strength was not in muscle, speed, or technology. It was in their persistence, their courage, and their willingness to act when no one else could. The park closed as the station lights dimmed and the stars shone outside the windows. Salthera watched Elias, quietly making notes in her log. She no longer saw him as fragile. She no longer saw humanity as weak. Instead, she saw the beginning of understanding. Humans were not what the conquered had predicted. They were something far more resilient, far more dangerous, far more capable than anyone had imagined. And for the first time, she wondered what would happen if the galaxy ever truly tested humanity. Nova Ark had always been a peaceful station, at least on the surface. Most of its residents went about their routines, trusting the conquered systems to protect them. But peace, Elias Morgan knew, was fragile, and that day peace shattered. The alarm came suddenly, a sharp, piercing siren that echoed through the corridors. Red lights flashed and the station's automated systems began blaring warnings. Elias was already moving. "Salthera," he said calmly, strapping his utility belt across his chest. "We have a problem. Follow me." "What is the nature of the emergency?" she asked, though she already knew. Her sensors picked up the approaching threat. A hostile fleet of alien warships had entered the system undetected. They had fired a precision strike at Nova Ark's shield generators, crippling the station's main defense systems. Elias' eyes narrowed. "They hit the shields. If we don't stabilize the power grid, the entire station could be destroyed." Salthera fell into step beside him, her movements precise. "Human Elias, this is a high-risk scenario. Your species is considered unfit for combat or crisis leadership under such extreme conditions." He gave her a brief, dry smile. "Lucky for you, I don't care what the statistics say." The corridors were chaotic. Alien residents ran in every direction, some panicked, others frozen by fear. Automated systems tried to reroute power, but the enemy's strike had caused cascading failures, leaving only partial functionality. Elias did not hesitate. He moved to the control hub, where the station's AI had entered lockdown mode. With quick hands, he bypassed security protocols, recalibrating circuits manually. Sparks flew and monitors flickered, but the power flow slowly returned to critical systems. Salthera observed silently. The human improvises under extreme stress. Calculated failure would be expected, yet he succeeds. Even more remarkable was what came next. The station's emergency evacuation system had been disabled, trapping civilians in several sectors. Alien leadership hesitated, unsure how to respond. Elias did not. He organized volunteer teams of humans and aliens, directing them to rescue trapped residents. His instructions were clear, precise, and calm, despite the chaos around him. "Step carefully," he shouted. "Stay low, watch the conduit lines. Help those who can't move on their own." Aliens followed, hesitant at first, but then trust in his confidence took over. Elias led by example, guiding teams through smoke-filled corridors, rerouting power manually to unlock doors, and carrying injured residents when necessary. Salthera could not take her eyes off him. She had seen humans survive small crises, improvise technical solutions, and assist others in minor emergencies. But this was different. This was total chaos, with lives hanging in the balance and humans were thriving in it. At one point, a group of alien engineers became trapped near a failing reactor. The core was overheating, threatening an explosion that could destroy an entire sector. "Move back," one of them shouted, panicked. Elias ignored the warning. He climbed into the reactor room, scanning controls and valves. "We don't have time to wait for AI calculations. We do this manually. Step carefully and follow my lead." He instructed the engineers, adjusting valves, rerouting coolant, and stabilizing the reactor before it could explode. Every step was precise, yet improvisational. Every decision carried risk, yet he acted with confidence. Salthera recorded everything silently. Humans do not rely solely on automated systems or predetermined plans. They act decisively under incomplete information. They take personal risk for collective survival. Even the Concord's own observation drones, hovering above the station, were forced to admit that humans were unusually capable. Reports they sent back were filled with phrases like unexpected efficiency, adaptive problem-solving, and courage under chaos. As the crisis unfolded, Elias continued to inspire those around him. Alien soldiers, previously hesitant and cautious, followed his lead. Humans worked in teams to repair critical systems, reroute power, and stabilize the station. Salthera approached him briefly as he directed a human-alien team. "Human Elias, your species demonstrates behavior beyond expected parameters. How do you maintain composure under such extreme stress?" He wiped sweat from his forehead and smiled faintly. "We survive because we must. We act because someone has to. And we don't give up, no matter how bad it gets." She noted every word, every action, every moment. The data she had once used to classify humans as weak no longer applied. Elias and his fellow humans had revealed a truth the Conquered could not ignore. Humans had a hidden strength, a combination of courage, adaptability, and determination that no algorithm could predict. The battle continued. The enemy ships attempted to breach the station's defenses again, but the humans had managed to restore enough shield capacity to hold them off temporarily. Elias led a team to repair the outer generators under fire, moving with calm precision. He coordinated with alien engineers, soldiers, and civilians alike, blending leadership with hands-on work. Salthera observed a particularly striking moment. A young human volunteer, no older than 16, had been assigned to help with emergency communications. The ship trembled from enemy fire, alarms blared, and the boy froze. Elias approached. "You can do this. Just follow my instructions. I'll guide you." He stayed with the boy, explaining each step. Under Elias' calm guidance, the boy regained confidence, repaired a communication relay, and ensured that evacuation orders reached every sector of the station. Salthera's sensors recorded. Human leadership is not limited to rank or size. It is transmitted through example, encouragement, and trust. By the time the emergency was under control, Nova Ark had avoided destruction. Critical systems had been restored, civilians had been evacuated from danger zones, and the enemy fleet had been repelled, partly through defensive measures, but largely through the coordination of human-led teams. Salthera finally spoke aloud, almost in disbelief. "Human Elias, your species, you are not weak, you are extraordinary." Elias shook his head, modest as always. "We just do what we must, nothing more. If we survive, that's enough." Her crystalline form shimmered faintly as she considered him. She had come to Nova Ark expecting to manage a fragile human. Instead, she had witnessed something remarkable, a species capable of extraordinary resilience, capable of improvisation, capable of leading in ways that no other species could match. After the crisis, the station leadership held a meeting. Alien commanders praised the humans for their courage and initiative. The Concord's own representatives, who had once classified humans as weak, were forced to revise their reports. Humans had not only survived, they had saved lives, stabilized critical systems, and even inspired alien species to act beyond their normal protocols. Salthera was present during the meeting. When the representatives asked for her report, she spoke simply. "Humanity does not rely on technology or physical superiority. Their strength lies in adaptability, courage, and the will to act when necessary. When the universe presents impossible circumstances, humans do not collapse. They respond. They survive. They lead. And they inspire." The room fell silent. For the first time, many of the aliens present truly understood the human species. They were not just a fragile, inefficient race. They were a force capable of extraordinary acts. As the meeting ended, Elias and Salthera walked through the quiet corridors. Smoke and damage had been cleared and the station was slowly returning to normal operations. "You have seen much today," Elias said quietly. "It's not always going to be this bad, but when it is, humans will always find a way." Salthera's head tilted. "I understand now. Your species' strength is not in your technology nor in your bodies. It is in your will, your persistence, your courage." Elias nodded. "That's humanity. We survive, we adapt, we keep going, even when no one believes we can." The stars outside the station glimmered as they walked in silence. For Salthera, the events of the day had changed everything. She had come to manage a weak species, but she had witnessed something far greater. Humans were not fragile, they were formidable in ways no one had predicted, and she knew this was only the beginning. Somewhere in the galaxy, threats would come again, and when they did, humanity would not just survive, they would act, they would endure, they would shine. Salthera's report to the Conquered, already filled with data from previous weeks, now included a new conclusion. Humans are a species to be respected, to be watched, and potentially to be relied upon. Their hidden strength is not in muscle or speed, but in courage, ingenuity, and the refusal to surrender. And for the first time, she wondered what the galaxy would look like if humans were given the chance to lead rather than be managed. The aftermath of the crisis left Nova Ark bruised but alive. Systems were repaired, corridors cleaned of smoke and debris, and alien residents returned cautiously to their routines. Yet the station had changed. The Conquered's representatives, once critical of humans, were forced to reconsider their assumptions. Elias Morgan walked through the corridors, observing quietly. He moved with calm purpose, checking on minor repairs and speaking to residents who had been frightened during the attack. He offered encouragement to human volunteers, comfort to alien workers, and advice to engineers fixing systems damaged by the assault. Salthera followed, her crystalline form reflecting the soft light of the station. She had seen humans rise to every challenge the galaxy had thrown at them. But now, after witnessing the station survive a true disaster, she understood their strength in a new way. "Human Elias," she said softly, "the events of the last cycles have revealed qualities in your species beyond prediction. I now understand the extent of your resilience, courage, and ingenuity." He smiled faintly. "It's not just me. Humans survive because we work together, because we care, because we refuse to quit. That's what makes us strong." Her head tilted slightly. Care, refusal to quit. These are not measurable in standard units, yet they have greater impact than all predictive algorithms combined. She was beginning to reconsider her own assumptions, not just about Elias, but about humanity as a whole. The Conquered called an emergency council to assess the situation and determine how to respond to the growing reputation of humans in the galaxy. Representatives from multiple species attended, their faces filled with a mixture of skepticism and curiosity. Salthera presented her report first. She spoke with clarity and precision, detailing the human-led actions during the attack. She described how humans had organized evacuation teams, repaired critical systems, stabilized reactors, and coordinated with alien crews, all under extreme stress and without reliance on AI. "Your species has underestimated humans," she concluded. "They are not weak. They possess a unique combination of adaptability, courage, and leadership. They act decisively when circumstances are unpredictable, inspiring others to do the same. Humanity's strength lies not in technology or physical power, but in their will and ingenuity." The council was silent. Many of the alien delegates were forced to reconsider their previous assumptions. For decades, the Conquered had classified humans as fragile, unreliable, and dependent on supervision. Salthira's testimony shattered that perception. One elder from a reptilian species spoke finally. "This changes everything. We must reassess our policies. Perhaps humans are not a liability but an asset in crises." Elias observed quietly from the back of the room. He had expected skepticism, but he had not expected such a swift acceptance. It seemed that, finally, the galaxy was beginning to see humans as they truly were: resilient, courageous, and capable of extraordinary deeds. After the council, Salthira returned to Elias. "Your species has proven remarkable. I must ask, what comes next for humanity in the Conquered?" He considered her question. "Next, we keep doing what we've always done. Survive, adapt, help when we can, and keep learning. If the galaxy finally sees our strength, all the better, but that wasn't the goal. The goal was survival." Her crystalline form shimmered faintly. "They act not for recognition, but for necessity. That is admirable." Over the next weeks, the station adjusted. Humans were no longer assigned alien caretakers to monitor their behavior. Instead, they were requested as advisors, emergency coordinators, and leaders in crisis situations. Their reputation spread beyond Nova Ark, earning respect and cautious admiration from other species. Salthira chose to remain on Nova Ark. Her role shifted from caretaker to cultural liaison. She assisted in coordinating interactions between humans and other species, ensuring that lessons from the crisis were applied to future station protocols. Yet she also remained close to Elias, eager to continue observing and learning. "Human Elias," she said one day as they walked along the observation deck, watching distant stars shimmer, "I have learned something important. Your species' strength is not in what is visible or measurable. It is in persistence, courage, and the ability to act when others hesitate. It is inspiring." Elias chuckled softly. "Glad to hear it. You know, humans aren't perfect. We make mistakes, we stumble, we get scared. But we keep going. That's what counts." She considered this. Imperfection does not diminish strength. It enhances it by forcing adaptation. She made a mental note for her report. Human imperfection is a source of innovation and resilience. Life on Nova Ark slowly returned to normal. Children played in corridors that had once been filled with smoke. Markets reopened, and alien traders resumed commerce. Yet beneath the surface, the station's residents had learned to trust in human leadership during emergencies. Humans were no longer viewed as weak. They were seen as reliable, capable, and courageous. Elias spent time mentoring younger humans, sharing lessons learned from crises, and teaching them how to act decisively under pressure. Salthira observed, fascinated by the way he inspired confidence and competence in others. "Why do you do this?" she asked him one evening as they oversaw a group of young humans practicing emergency drills. He smiled faintly. "Because someone has to, because it matters. Because if we survive, others have a chance to survive too. That's humanity. We act because we care." Salthira's eyes glowed softly. "Humans act because they choose to, not because they are ordered to. Their will is their greatest weapon." The Conquered eventually revised its policies regarding humanity. Humans were no longer considered a species to be managed. They were invited to serve as emergency coordinators, engineers, and leaders in mixed-species teams. The reports emphasized human resilience, adaptability, and the ability to inspire others under pressure. For the first time in history, the galaxy began to see humans as more than fragile and unpredictable. They were recognized as a species capable of extraordinary achievements, even in the most impossible circumstances. Salthira submitted her final report, concluding with a statement that would be quoted for decades. "When the universe presents impossible challenges, humanity does not collapse. It adapts, it acts, it leads, it survives. Humanity's strength is not in muscle or technology, but in courage, ingenuity, and the refusal to surrender." Elias watched her submit the report, a quiet smile on his face. "You've learned a lot, haven't you?" he asked. She nodded. "I have learned that humans are not what I was told. They are stronger than any classification, more capable than any prediction, and more remarkable than I could have imagined." He chuckled. "Took you long enough." Salthira's crystalline form glimmered in the station lights. "Perhaps, but understanding takes time. And I intend to learn more." Together, they walked along the observation deck, gazing out at the endless stars of the galaxy. For Salthira, the universe no longer seemed so predictable. For Elias, the galaxy had finally begun to recognize the potential that humans had always known about themselves. Somewhere far beyond Nova Ark, new threats would arise, but humanity was ready. Not because of superior technology, or strength, or AI, but because of their courage, adaptability, and refusal to give up. And Salthira knew that she would witness even greater achievements in the years to come. Humans had revealed their hidden strength, and now the galaxy would have to see it too. As the two of them stood in silence, watching the stars shimmer, Elias said softly, "When the universe breaks, humans don't. We adapt, we survive, we act, and sometimes we inspire." Salthira recorded the words carefully. Not all strength is visible. Not all power is measurable. Humanity's strength lies in the choice to act, the courage to endure, and the will to survive. That is why humans will endure, and why the galaxy will never forget them. The story ended not with finality, but with a beginning, a promise that humanity's hidden strength would continue to shine, guiding them through the vast unknown of the galaxy, side by side with allies who now understood the true nature of their resilience.